I've been given a life-changing diagnosis which will hopefully save my life too. Hello everyone, I'm Duncan Wood. I was a TV reporter and anchorman for more than 30 years on ITV in the UK, and now I'm back in front of the camera to tell you that I've been diagnosed with severe obstructive sleep apnea, and I'm going to try and raise awareness about this hugely underdiagnosed condition. That's why I'm launching this channel called The Masked Anchorman. Firstly, because of my career.
Good morning. You're watching GMTV with Esther McVeigh and Duncan Wood.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, it's Friday the 30th of April, almost through presenters. So that was the Anchorman bit, and this, well, this is the masked bit, obviously, because this is my CPAP mask that I wear every night in bed. It's attached to a machine that forces air through my nose into my airways and keeps me going, basically. On this channel, I'm going to tell you all about my symptoms, my diagnosis, my treatment, and I'm going to be introducing you to special guests too.
Like that, and then it starts again.
There's my good pal and TV doctor, Apnea. He'll be telling us why you should go to your GP in the first place if you have any worries.
When it's happening to you and your airway closes, your oxygen level drops, and your brain picks that up, every time that happens, it puts stress on your heart.
And we'll hear from Kath Hope, the founder and chief exec of Hope to Sleep, one of the UK's main sleep apnea charities, which is based in Hull. When I was tested, I stopped breathing 80 times an hour. Now that's way over the severe threshold for OSA. But now I'm having treatment, I'm down around the 3 mark, which is perfectly acceptable. 8 million people are thought to have obstructive sleep apnea in the UK alone. But 85% of them do not have a clue that they've got the condition. That's millions of people who could be getting the same treatment as me and leading better lives if only they knew about it. Now, there are no big campaigns, there are no television adverts telling you about obstructive sleep apnea, but there really should be. That's why I've started this channel, in essence, to get the message out there and hopefully explain what the situation is. So let's first of all find out what obstructive sleep apnea is and get the medical point of view from Dr. Apnea. Apnea, thank you so much for talking to us about this. I mean, I've found out so much about this over the last year, but could you sum it up for people? What is obstructive sleep apnea?
Yeah, so obstructive sleep apnea is something that affects people when they sleep. And what happens is when they're asleep, the muscles around their neck and upper airway completely relaxes. And that is the muscles that support our soft palate, our uvula, our tonsils, all of those kind of top airway areas. So when those muscles relax, those things can go floppy back into our throat. And what that does is either very much narrow the airway or completely obstruct it. So what can happen when people are sleeping is, first of all, they can snore because you get the vibrations from all those floppy things, so it sounds a bit like and then the airway closes completely, and then they go and they stop breathing, and then their brain realizes that they've stopped breathing, and it wakes them up a little bit, enough to start breathing again. So the noises you normally hear are like that, and then it starts again. And so it's a cycle through the night. And the problem with it is that person isn't able to get a good quality sleep, because every so often that will happen throughout the night. The brain will recognize that drop in oxygen from the airway closing, and it will wake them up a little bit, but not enough probably for you to remember it happening, but your partner will definitely know.
But I had that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, I snore.
Yes.
And it's an inconvenience to the partner that you're with. But it's not something I go to the doctor about.
Yes.
Is that the case, or?
That's really common. You know, people don't want to bother their GPs with what they think is just simple snoring. But snoring itself can be a problem as well, because it does affect the quality of your sleep. So if snoring is becoming so much of a problem that it's affecting your partner, it's probably affecting you as well. And if you're waking up not refreshed, we do want to hear about it. And your partner may not recognize that pattern, but we will ask specific questions around sleep apnea. And often when I describe it, I do exactly what I did there, where I just play it out for them. So it's like, does your partner sound like this? Then they go, oh yes, but I thought that was just snoring. I go, no, that is not snoring.
That, I suppose, is why we've got this amazing statistic, which is more than 8 million people in the UK have got obstructive sleep apnea, but 85% of them don't know they've got it.
They don't know they've got it. They don't know what it is, first of all. Not everyone knows what sleep apnea is. They don't know that simple snoring itself is a problem, but what it can progress to. But also, there's this idea, isn't there, that they don't want to bother their doctor or healthcare professional with something that they may seem minor. Tired all the time is a very broad symptom, isn't it? And lots of people will be busy in life and they won't think that actually the sleep quality is what's causing them to become tired. That obstructive sleep apnea is what's causing them to become not just tired, but exhausted. They'll just think, well, I'm stressed. I've got a busy job. I've got to get home for the kids. I've got to care for my loved one. I've got to do this before I go to bed. I've got these emails to answer and blah, 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 blah. And it all mounts up and they put it down to that and they don't actually think, actually, it could be something else.
So what other things should anyone be looking out for? I mean, I eventually got diagnosed because I was going to the loo so many times.
Yeah.
But what are the main symptoms would you say people should look out for?
So the main symptom is not feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep. And if you're repetitively going to bed at a reasonable hour, you've got a good sleep routine, but you wake up and you're still tired. And when I'm talking about tired, we're talking about exhaustion here. You know, you're at work, you can't focus on the tasks because you're tired. You're driving or you're looking after someone, you can't focus on that because you're so tired. That's the level of tiredness that this can cause. Hopefully we'll catch it before it gets there, but often that is what triggers people to come in. Now, obstructive sleep apnea is it's not just about tiredness, it's what happens in the long term. And the reason we want to pick it up, and these are some of the other symptoms that can present really. So when it's happening to you and your airway closes, your oxygen level drops, and your brain picks that up. Every time that happens, it puts stress on your heart because your heart has to work harder to pump what little oxygen it has around the body for that moment. And when you're asleep, your heart rate and your blood pressure is supposed to drop, and that is when your heart recovers from the stress of the day. But if that's not happening every night because of sleep apnea, that puts so much pressure on your heart, what you can get is high blood pressure. Sleep is really important for insulin sensitivity as well. Things relax, things get digested, things get broken down. But if you're not sleeping properly because you're constantly waking up a little bit each night, your insulin sensitivity goes down, so you become insulin resistant, so you can get type 2 diabetes. And in the end, what it can cause is long-term problems with your heart. So if you've got high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, issues with your heart, and you can't quite pinpoint why that's happened, it's worth asking about obstructive sleep apnea. Ask your partner, do I sound like this? Ask your doctor, have you thought about this? The kind of things that make you at risk of having sleep apnea are weight is one. I know that's not an easy one to say, but people who are overweight are at increased risk of developing it.
I mean, I lost 1.5 stone as soon as I found out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can carry it usually because I'm 6'2".
Yes.
But I realised then that was adding to everything else and adding to the problem.
That's right. So that excess weight puts pressure on your muscles here. So when things relax, that weight will put pressure on your airways and increase the risk of it closing. Men are 3 times more likely to get obstructive sleep apnea as well. Things like alcohol and smoking increase your risk. Family history, if someone in your family has obstructive sleep apnea, there's a good chance that you do as well. Medication, if you're taking things like muscle relaxants, antidepressants, things that make you sleep, all of those things can increase your risk of obstructive sleep apnea too.
And the thing is, if we get to the root of the problem and it's okay, a CPAP machine that I use is seen as the gold standard in treatment still, and a lot of people struggle to cope with putting any form of mask on the face with kind of suffocation issues and things like that. But if it is treated, it will save you down the line from storing up these problems of heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, high blood pressure. generally increases the chances of you living a better, healthy life.
Very much so. So what we know about people with CPAP masks, once they've got the diagnosis and the treatment, after perhaps that initial apprehension of wearing a mask when you're sleeping, they feel so much better. You know, it's almost like a light bulb moment that the quality of their life that they've been living through for so long has been so poor, and it's suddenly so much better. We know sleep is healing. We know sleep is medicine. So they've been going without that for so long. They've never been able to get into that deep sleep that is needed for that full restoration. So having that CPAP machine, yes, in the short term, will improve the quality of your life in general. You can do stuff again without being knackered. But in the long term, yes, those reduced risk of what we call metabolic diseases like cardiovascular disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, all of those things that kill us men, you know, really young, but women as well, is really reduced. So it makes a massive difference.
And how often do you see people coming to you? Because if we've got these numbers of so many people underdiagnosed, I mean, do you see things regularly in your surgery? I mean,
no, when you put that number to me, that number of millions of people with it, I don't see people with it often enough. I've just realised that when you said that statistic. So I'm at the surgery here 3 days a week. I might see someone with potential obstructive sleep apnea maybe once every 2 months. That doesn't make sense with those numbers. So those people aren't coming in to see us. But what we need to start doing is screening for it. So we can't wait for patients to come in. We do long-term conditions clinics with people who already have those diseases. We should be asking them about whether they may have it, asking their partners as to whether is this what they sound like. Then, you know, there's no point throwing tablets at someone who's insulin resistant, high blood pressure, if we haven't sorted out the problem. So I think what I'm going to do now more often is make sure I ask about those things in my long-term conditions clinics.
I've thought back a great deal about how it affected my life beforehand.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are links with depression and anxiety and stress. And I'm quite happy I put my hands up, and I don't hide that from anybody, that I did suffer those things and did go through those things. And now I find out, hang on a minute, it's my sleeping, it's my breathing. And I didn't have a clue. And it must be so hard to join the dots.
Yeah, very much so. I think people take sleeping and breathing for granted, right? We all are supposed to be doing it, and we assume our sleep is what's normal. But I think that's the thing. These kind of conversations that we're having now, getting this information out there, may just help someone think, actually, I do sound like that. I'm not, you know, fully refreshed when I wake up. And I think these conversations are really important. There's an onus on that to happen, but also there's a bigger pressure, I think, on us as healthcare professionals to ask more openly about it and not to wait to be prompted by patients themselves.
Well, thank you so much, Amir. I really appreciate all your help and having the chat. And leave us with one final message, if you would, for everyone who may be watching this.
I would say, if you're not refreshed after what you think is a good night's sleep, there's a number of reasons for that, sleep apnea being one of them. Come and see us and we'll investigate it, and you may just change the quality of your life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent advice as always from Dr. Amir. Now, I've had tiredness and energy problems for many, many years, and it was put down to an underactive thyroid. My mother, God bless her, had it, and I've been on medication for several years for that. But nothing seemed to be getting better. It took a while to join all the dots, so I thought I'd let you in on my symptoms, my diagnosis, and the treatment I'm now getting. Well, that, believe it or not, is my snore, recorded by my daughter, not while I was in bed, but when I was in front of the television. She was a few rooms away, a couple of doors were closed, and it really showed up a double symptom, really, of loud snoring and daytime sleeping. I could be watching the best football match ever and unable to keep my eyes open. The worrying thing is it was happening in the car too, not at the end of a long journey, but sometime shortly after I'd set off. I was chronically exhausted. Thankfully, when I felt myself going, I always managed to pull over. It wasn't until I was getting up 7 times a night to go to the loo that the dots were joined. My body was waking up so many times and I thought I needed to go to the loo, because I was stopping breathing. I was referred for a sleep test. So 3 weeks after that referral, I came here to St James's Hospital in Leeds, also known as Jimmy's. I went inside, I was given a sleep test. I took it home, that night I used it, brought it back the next morning. They downloaded the data while I went for a coffee. I was given a diagnosis of severe obstructive sleep apnea. I was handed a CPAP machine there and then, and the mask, and started my treatment. And this is it in action. I have a ResMed Mirage nasal mask, which is very easy to put on and adjust. It's connected to my ResMed AirSense 10, which I have on a permanent loan from the Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust for the next 7 years, with a 2-metre hose. The CPAP machine in turn sends data to the hospital about my sleep patterns, which can be checked on a regular basis. And I have an app which tells me how I'm doing on a daily basis, whether my mask is leaking, how long I've kept it on, and how many events I've had during the night. Please feel free to leave a comment below and I'll interact with as many of you as I possibly can. If you've liked what you've seen, hit the like button, but please subscribe to the Masked Anchorman channel as well. I'm hoping to put up a new episode every Thursday, but if I spot something that I think will interest you, then I'll put that content up straight away. I'll be going into more details about my own personal journey. I'll be talking to the lead nurse at Leeds Teaching Hospitals Trust who actually diagnosed me, and speak to the man in charge of the sleep clinic. I'll be talking to researchers about new products that are on their way, and some politicians who have got a great interest in OSA. I'll also be hearing from Kath Hope. Now, Kath founded the charity Hope to Sleep after she herself was diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea and is now the chief executive. The charity is based in Hull and supports thousands of people across the UK and further afield who have OSA. I'll be telling her full story in a future show, but for now she's come up with a great catchphrase that I wanted to include in the first episode.
Don't ignore the snore. Snoring should always be checked out. The snoring is irritating to the partner. Please don't put earplugs in to block out the noise. It's the body crying out there's something wrong. What you're listening for is not so much that snoring, you can easily hear that. What happens in the silences when all of a sudden it goes quiet is the step. Instead of just feeling relieved, oh thank goodness they've stopped snoring, are they breathing? Because that's what happens in between the snores, and then often you'll get as they suddenly, you remember that, Duncan?
Yeah, I remember very well,
yeah, that choking sensation. That's dramatic. It doesn't always happen like that in people. Sometimes it's just a quiet, jump or whatever. But the snoring, always get snoring checked out.
Well, I think if you're going to take anything away from this first episode, it's get that snoring checked out. My great thanks to Kath and everybody at Hope to Sleep in Hull, Natalie and Sue too, had a great time with them. And also my thanks to Dr. Amir Khan over at his surgery in Bradford. He took time out to talk to me very recently. I've also been back to St James's Hospital in Leeds and talked to Martin Latham, the lead nurse there, who gave me my diagnosis, and you'll be able to see that film very shortly too. But that's it for the first episode. Thanks very much for watching. Whatever you do, sleep well.